maybe to start, we are going to speak about the Dream Team. It's going to be the 20th anniversary in a few months, and I was wondering if you can give me your definition of the Dream Team.
Well, it was exactly that. It was a team that was a dream to be a part of. It's the greatest players I've ever been around, and they made the game so much easier. Everyone's so smart, everyone could handle the ball, everyone could pass, everyone understood what we were trying to get accomplished, and it seemed like the game just flowed. They made it so easy, and plus you're playing with legends, guys that I grew up watching, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, those guys, and so it was pretty special being a part of that team.
Do you remember how you've been selected? Who gave you a call just to tell you that you've been selected in that team?
Well, the USA basketball guys, working together with the NBA guys, selected a group of guys, I think maybe 10 guys, and asked each of us individually, did we want to play? And my answer was, of course. I got a chance to play in '88 and a chance to play with the last college team from the U.S. And wanted a chance to go back and get that gold medal. So for me, it was a no-brainer. But fortunately, I think everyone they asked decided to do it.
What are your memories of 1998?
Or 1988.
Yeah.
Yeah, 88. Well, as a college player in 1988, we lost in the semifinals against the Russians. It was a pretty good game overall, but we really didn't play as well as we should have, and it was just very disappointing. I just remember thinking that we were the only U.S. team not to win without controversy. So it was a rather dubious distinction, and a lot of the guys were very disappointed, and some of the guys didn't even want to collect their bronze medals, which I thought was ridiculous because it's still a bronze medal, and that means a lot. Just for the experience sake, it means a lot. So I was very proud to be able to wear USA, and '92 gave me a chance to go back and get the gold medal, which was phenomenal.
In 1992, there were 11 NBA players, 11 NBA stars, and one non-professional. How was it for him, for Christian Leitner?
Well, I can't speak for him, but it had to be a phenomenal experience. He was still a college guy, and anybody who's watched Christian Leitner knows he's a pretty cocky guy. He's rarely going to be intimidated in any circumstance, and I don't think he was intimidated in that circumstance. It was certainly a tough place for him to be able to go in and kind of earn the minutes. There's so many good players there in front of him, but I think he enjoyed it. He learned from the experience. He seemed to be having a lot of fun. I know his mom and dad were on that trip, and I remember seeing them and quite a few times and talking with them, and they all looked like they were having a blast.
We met him, and he told us that some of the players just tried to explain him how high the IQ and the skills was for all the members of the Dream Teams, and it was a lot of one-on-one game at the end of each practice. Do you remember to have played against maybe Patrick Ewing, who was your biggest rival?
Yeah, definitely. In practice it was great. The intensity in practice was very, very high because in the regular games they weren't nearly as competitive. So we got our competitive juices flowing in practice, and we would play, not only get our skills against one another, but in 5-on-5 was very competitive. So certainly we were all, I think, learning a little bit. I don't know that there was ever really a situation where we all got to play against each other in such a highly competitive environment. All-star games have never been that competitive. They're more fun and entertaining than competitive. But in this, every day in and day out, we're practicing, going hard at each other. So I think we were all learning quite a bit, not just Christian. Learning kind of what it takes for Michael Jordan, or what it takes for Larry Bird, or Magic Johnson, or Charles Barkley, or Karl Malone to be great. And I watched Karl Malone in the weight room, the way he worked. He has that body. He has a real reason why he has that body. He works pretty hard. You know, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen are two of the most intense guys working out that you've ever seen. And I learned from the way that they approached the game, the way that they prepared themselves to play. It was pretty intense.
Do you remember the first practice with all those players, and where was it?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't remember the first practice. I don't remember where it was. I remember quite a few of the practices because of some of the trash talking that happened to be going on at that time. But I don't particularly remember the first practice. But I know we got a chance to travel all over, and we played in Orlando at Disney World. We played. I think we went to Monte Carlo, played in Monte Carlo, and I'm not sure where. Oh, we were in Portland for a while and played in the Portland tournament. So we had quite a bit of time together, and I remember a lot of those practices because they were so intense. And I remember guys being a little bit angry with each other during practice, but then after practice, everything being cool.
There were a lot of trash talking between some of the players. Do you remember?
Absolutely.
Who were the strongest? Was it Michael? Was it Magic?
Oh, it was everybody. It was pretty much everybody. I think during practice, you know, I think some of the, you know, it was the top teams who were always competing each other. So there was Portland and LA and Utah and San Antonio. So we were all kind of talking a little bit to each other. There's some big rivalries there and some very intense playoff matchups. So during practice, you could see, you know, whether it was Michael Jordan going after Clyde Drexler, because of that they played against each other, and or it was Karl Malone and me going at each other, or Patrick Ewing going at somebody. You know, there was a lot of competition, and you know, I think for the most part it was fun. Every once in a while, guys take it a little personal, but you know, for the most part it was fun. I think it just raised the level of competition.
For all the members we already met, there's a legendary practice in Monte Carlo where there were two teams. I think it's Michael's team and Magic's team, the East against the West. So you were playing with Magic. Do you remember that game? Because Magic and Larry doesn't have the same scenario. I don't know who has
I don't know who's right. I don't remember. I remember that practice. I do remember that practice because it was particularly intense. But I don't remember the outcome. I know it was a very close game. Came down to the stretch, right down to the last bucket or two, and you know, I'm inclined to say that we beat them, but I don't know. I can't tell you I remember for sure.
Can you just remind us how was it the first game you had? It was, I think, the third day of practice. It was against the college team, and you lost that game. Mm-hmm. How much has it been a key moment in the life of the Dream Team? I mean, after this defeat, you never lost, and everything has changed.
Yeah, well, that was a little bit of an eye opener for us. I mean, I think that we got together and we knew it would be fun, and we knew we would be enjoying one another. But I think watching those young college guys come in and play hard and play well against us made us realize that you know, the only task here is to win. And so I think after that, every practice was extremely focused. There was I think before that, everybody was a little bit too unselfish. We were maybe passing the ball a little too much. You know, when you start making turnovers because you're trying to make the extra pass. And after that, I think everyone got a little bit more selfish, and everybody said, hey, we need to get this job done. And whoever needs to do whatever they need to do, let's get it done. So I think practices just became a little bit more focused after that. And there was a little bit more selfishness because we knew we had to accomplish our goal. There's no way we could afford to make any kind of mistake like that in the future.
Magic told us that after this defeat, there was some kind of meeting, and the players just spoke together, just to be sure that next time, the next step, it will be a success. And the day before, you blew them up. Was it right?
Well, the next day we did, but I think it was maybe like at dinner or something. But it was just a kind of a quick, you know, hey, you know, this will not happen again, kind of a thing, and we were all on the same page with that. It was a little bit embarrassing. We didn't expect those guys to come in there and play as well as they did, and they had some some great players. I mean, Chris Webber was a great player. You know, Allen Houston, I think, hit everything he threw up, and Rodney Rogers, I think, was making threes all over the floor. I mean, they had good players playing very, very well, but still, that's no excuse. And I think, you know, we were all on the same page. We knew we weren't going to allow that to happen again.
Who were the leader on the court and off the court of the team?
Well, I think the natural leaders were Larry, Bird, Magic, and Michael. I mean, those are the guys that all of the rest of us kind of grew up watching. So they were the natural leaders. Larry had back issues, so he wasn't really playing as much. But still, there's a high level of respect for those guys because they carried the league during a stretch where the league needed some heroes. And so I think those guys had a natural respect from everyone, and they were given the leeway, the opportunity to lead kind of at their will.
You went to Portland for the pre-Olympic qualifying tournament. How was it, Portland?
Portland was great. I mean, we played the Tournament of the Americas there, and you know, we knew we just had to qualify, but you know, at the same time, we knew we had to make a strong statement. And I think we did that when we went out on the floor. We pretty much destroyed every team we came close to, and it set a tone for the rest of the time together.
Did you figure out after the first game, because I've just watched the game against Cuba, there was a Cuban players who were just taking pictures of you just before the game. I think it was almost 30 seconds before the game. Did you figure out the reach out that you will have in Europe, in Barcelona at this time?
Yeah, that was the first real sign of it. You know, I think that watching those guys and how in awe they were really of our team gave us a picture of what it was going to look like. But still, we knew we had to focus in. I mean, you know, you can't get distracted by that kind of stuff before the game. So, you know, a lot of teams did that. But I don't think it fazed us one way or the other. We knew the job wasn't done until we won that last game, and that's where we tried to focus.
Can you just remind us and maybe describe for us what was the game of the Dream Team? Was it strange? Was it quickness, athleticism, fast breaks?
All of the above. I think the main thing was the basketball IQ. You know, when you're playing together with guys who understand what needs to get done and can make the plays. I mean, that was the thing. We had everybody who could make plays. And rarely are you on a team where everyone can make the pass, everyone can make the shot, everyone can handle it and get to the rim. You know, usually you only have one superstar, maybe two superstars, but this team was very unique in that it really didn't matter who we put on the floor. They would play together, play very smart, and make plays. And basically, you could have just about anyone take the last shot and have good confidence it was going to go in.
What has been the role of Chuck Daly just to manage all the egos? Because so many players, so many stars.
Yeah, and not so much even manage the egos, because I don't think ego was a problem. I think managing the flow of the game, really giving us a plan, because I don't care what level coach you're coaching at, whether it's at the highest level like the Dream Team or whether it's in a high school level, you got to give the team something to believe in. And that's what Chuck just gave us, a framework to believe in. He said, look, this is how we're going to play. We're going to practice really hard. We're going to practice for an hour and a half, and we're going to prepare ourselves for these games. And he brought that mentality of just staying focused, doing what we need to do, playing hard, practicing hard. And so all the guys just kind of took on that Chuck Daly personality, that no nonsense, you know, not really a bad boy personality, but still, you know, very intense, very focused personality.
And did he show you some games of the Angolese team, of the Spanish team, of the German team, all the teams you were playing in Barcelona, or you never knew anything about?
No, we watched some film before the games. We watched film, but obviously we didn't spend a lot of time focusing on them. Really focusing more on the things we wanted to do. But certainly we watched film to try to see which players were going to be the focus players for us. But you know, for the most part, I think we tried to focus in on, you know, playing the type of defense that we wanted to play, and just keeping a high level of intensity.
Were you surprised the fact that those games was so easy for you, were so easy?
I wasn't particularly surprised. In practice every day, I saw that level of competition. I saw what we're able to do against each other, and it was pretty amazing. And I knew that when we got out into the game, it would be overwhelming for anybody else trying to play against us. You know, like I said, after that first encounter with the college team, you know, we just crushed them after that. And I think, you know, for them it was overwhelming. And I knew that when we stepped out on the court in the Olympics, it would be tough. When you're not used to playing against that level of team, it's like waves just keep coming at you. And I think that's what they were facing.
In your career before, and maybe in San Antonio or when you were playing in college, have you ever experienced such a great level of IQ and such a great level of game?
No, never. You know, like I said, there was always all-star games where those same guys were present, but we didn't take all the best guys and put them on one team to play together. So I mean, it was a very unique situation, and really looking at that team, most of those guys are Hall of Fame guys. I mean, it's almost that whole team would be Hall of Fame guys, which is, you know, that's never happened before. That many guys on one team. So even when you look at some of our subsequent teams, you know, Dream Team 2 or even Dream Team 3, you know, not all those guys are Hall of Fame guys. Maybe half of those guys are. But that team was the best through and through.
A lot of people are trying to compare the next American Olympic team with the Dream Team. What is your opinion about that?
Well, I would say you know, it's going to be hard to really duplicate what we had on the floor before. And especially now, teams believe they can beat us. You know, after, what, 04 maybe? When Argentina won it, whichever year that was. I think it was
2002.
2002, was it?
Yeah.
So when Argentina beat us, you know, that you know, brought a certain kind of reality to the floor where guys, you know, teams really feel like they can win now. And so I just think it'll be hard to duplicate what we had on the floor, the type of experience, all the championship rings, all of the you know, championship level experience. You're not going to see that again. I mean, if you count the number of championship rings for that team, I mean, that was a ridiculous number. But you know, I think it'll be interesting and it'll be fun. I mean, you know, you put LeBron James, and you know, he's not quite as accomplished as a Michael Jordan yet. So, you know, who knows? Maybe one day, you know, it'll be a team that can, you know, you can pit up against that Dream Team, but not today.
There's one major thing that brought my attention after the first game against Angola. Magic Johnson and John Stockton was in Europe. So your team has played without a point guard during, I think, 2 or 3 games. How is it possible? It's just amazing.
Well, we had plenty of guys that could play point guard. I mean, you could put the ball in Michael Jordan's hands or Scottie Pippen's hands. I mean, Chris Mullin can handle it. I mean, we didn't really lack people who could handle the ball. And like I said, it was a high IQ team and a high skill team. So all of our guards could handle it well enough to play point. I mean, you could even put Clyde Drexler at point, which is, you know, 6'8" guy playing point guard. But you know, we didn't really lack for talent in that area.
One other reliable memory of the tournament was the final, because during the first half, I think at the mid-first half, Croatia was just very close to you, to the American team, and even was leading by 1 point. Did you fear at a moment?
No, I don't think there was ever fear. I think, you know, in those games, especially a college, like a 40-minute game, anything can happen. You know, a team can get really hot and make some shots and stay with you for a stretch. So I think you just, in that sort of situation, you don't get worried. You just keep playing and trust that you're going to outlast them, and that's basically what happened. When we knew that it would be tough for them to do that all game long. In the international competition, like I said, anything is possible. So we just stayed focused and caught up.
During your stay in Barcelona, I've watched all the videos of the game and of the court. You were with your family.
Mm-hmm.
How did you spend your time off the court? You visiting museum, playing cards.
Now, for me, I spent most of my time with my family. My wife at that time was, I think she was pregnant with my oldest son, and I spent a little bit of time playing music. I brought my saxophone with me and played music with Branford Marsalis was there, and I got a chance to play with him a little bit, and so you know, I entertained myself, kind of practicing my music and hanging out with my wife and some of the other players.
How many legends were surrounding the team? I mean, there were Brandon Marsalis, there were Spike Lee, Michael Douglas, I think so.
Well, we had a lot of guys. You know, we got a lot of people to come visit us and talk with us. And especially even when we got to the Olympic Village, I mean, a lot of the other athletes. I know the women's gymnastics team came up on the bus and talked with us a little bit, and so I mean, it was sort of like being a part of the Beatles. You know, it was just very fun and very exciting everywhere we went. There was certainly no lack for interaction. I mean, people came to see us, so that was great.
Have you been filled sometime by the empathy of the people, of the crowd, of the fans, of the other athletes?
Were we afraid?
Yeah.
No, not ever afraid. But you know, there was high security. I think there were, you know, maybe some threats or something at that time, because when we went to the games, I remember they stopped traffic. We were going the wrong way down the highway, and they had armed gunmen all the way along the roads. And so I think there were maybe some threats or something at that time, because our security was extremely high level. So I don't think we ever felt in danger because the security was so very high. But certainly there were lots of fans around. I mean, at the hotel we had a barricade, and there was fans every day, all day long. So that was pretty fun.
One of the most outgoing personality of the team was Charles Barkley, who went out every night.
Yeah, he likes the fans.
How was it? Because sometimes people maybe you cross people after a game who told you that he was in a discotheque, just in a party the night before. How was it?
Yeah, Charles likes to be the regular guy. So Charles will get in there and mix it up with the crowd at any given time, and that's usually a lot of fun until a fight breaks out. And unfortunately, he's been in those situations. But no, I mean, he likes to push the envelope a little bit, and you know, even during a time when, you know, a lot of us are just thinking, stay focused, you know, let's get this job done. And Charles is thinking, I'll get it done, don't worry, I'll be back. I'm going out tonight. So, you know, he's just a fun-loving guy. That's Charles. You know, it's a part of who he is. It's a part of what helps him relax and be the player he is. And so, you know, that's just part of what you kind of enjoy about him. Certainly always brought some fun and excitement, whether it was on the floor and him beating people up on the floor or him off the court.
During your stay in Barcelona, Karl Malone mentioned a diner with the king, or maybe the prince of Spain. Do you remember that? Because I didn't.
I don't remember that.
No.
I mean, maybe it's just me, but I don't remember that. I mean, it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't personally remember.
Okay. Just what are your most reliable memories of the tournament? Was it the podium, the gold medal?
Yeah, I think for me the two things that stick out the most is the opening ceremonies, which was fantastic, and watching all the athletes come in and stadium full of people. That was an amazing experience, and how they lit the torch. Everything was very fun, and then the other thing was standing on the podium getting the gold medals. And I remember thinking to myself, I grew up watching these Olympics, and I've watched people like Mark Spitz and you know, Olga Corbett and all these people getting their gold medals, and here I am standing here with the dream team getting a gold medal, and I thought, this is a moment that will go down in history as one of the great Olympic moments for the United States, and I get to be a part of it, and so that was very exciting to me.
During the podium ceremony, there was some little issue for the European audience when Michael Jordan just put the flag on the Reebok equipment. Did you? You didn't do this, no?
Well, at this time, I wasn't thinking about that. You know, he was probably, you know, just playing around. That wasn't I don't think he was trying to make any particular statement. I mean, a lot of us were Nike guys. We had been with Nike our whole career. And so you know, it was probably just more of a funny thing for him, just to as a commentary more than, you know, he wasn't trying to make any big statement. He was just being silly. And I mean, you know, a lot of us, like I said, we just grew up Nike. I mean, you know, so we certainly understand the business side of, you know, the Reebok sponsoring the team, but I think he was probably just being more playful than anything else.
Just the reach out of the Dream Team, did it change something in your life? Or maybe as a professional player, did you sign more contract, more endorsement? Did you, I don't think American audience consider you differently, but for the European and the world audience, it was very, very big. How does it change for you?
I think that's mainly a change in the international. I think when I've gone overseas, we went to Japan and Hong Kong and China after that, and I remember there just being I felt like more of a frenzy towards the sports, towards the athletes, and I think it was just the world. I think the world enjoyed it, enjoyed the experience of it. I think basketball kind of got kicked up a notch on the world stage. You know, soccer, you know, football has always been, you know, great on the world stage, but I think basketball took a little step up to make it more compelling for people on the world stage.
We met David Stern in Monday in New York, and I didn't realize that at the beginning the Dream Team was not well viewed, well considered by the American. They was wondering why are we going to allow our best players participating to the Olympics. Yeah. And now many people are celebrating in America the 20th anniversary. Yeah. Can you just remind us the context of the creation of the team?
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy. You know, I think the Olympics was always considered a great opportunity for college players, and you know, going out and competing against the best players around the world was just a unique and special opportunity for all those college players. And I think from an American standpoint, the college players in some ways seems more pure than the pro players. You know, the college players seem like they're playing for, and I don't know that this is true, but it just seemed like they're playing more for the joy of it than the pro players. And I think that was a more compelling story for American audience, to say, hey, these young guys, you know, this is their peak, this is the highest thing they've ever achieved. Now the pro players, they're all spoiled, they've played in the championship and blah, 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 but the college players, this is great for them. And so I think from an American standpoint, it seemed like a much better opportunity for the college players. It was more glorious. If they went out and they won against the world, it was more of an achievement, whereas the pro players seemed maybe a little bit more jaded. And I think that the American audience, maybe to a certain extent, didn't understand the compelling value of having your best players out there. And I think that's what we learned over these last 20 years is you put your best players out there. It's fun for anybody to watch. I don't care who it is. Man, it's fun to watch Larry Bird play with Michael and play with Magic. That's a blast. Now we get to see Kobe Bryant play with LeBron James and play with Dwayne Wade and, you know, and Derrick Rose. I mean, that's a blast. Why would we not want to see that? But I think at the time, maybe the American audience was a tad bit jaded.
Okay, just a few questions about Tony.
Oh, sure.
Okay, Tony is Do you think Tony is playing his best season this year with the Spurs?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I think so. I think because of our injuries, because of what our team has asked Tony to do this year, Tony has stepped it up to a new level, and he's been great a lot of years. I think Tony's one of the more underrated point guards in the league. I don't think he gets the credit for doing what he's done, which is consistently keep us in the top of the league. We've always been top 3 or 4 teams, and it's because Tony has learned how to manage his team and run it and really make it look easy. And it's not that easy. Yeah, you have Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan, but it's not easy to keep those guys happy and flowing, keep the offense moving, and then be able for him to find his offense, hit the shots when he needs to hit them, keep the pace of the game going when it needs to go. And Tony has done a masterful job at that. He is better, I think, than what people give him credit for. And this year, I think he's shown that. He's shown that even without Timmy on the floor or without Manu on the floor, this team is very, very dangerous. And Tony can put up whatever numbers he needs to put up to make us successful. So I think this year he's proven more than any other year. Maybe the year we won the championship back in '05, I think, was against Cleveland.
No, 2007.
No, it's 2007. So in '07 against Cleveland, when Tony was, just a superstar during the finals, that was maybe another time when he played at a high level like that, at his best level. But this year, certainly, I think has been his best year.
This year his game has a little bit changed. It's more passing, no?
Well, I don't know. I think it's still a great mix of scoring and passing. I mean, he's put up some big numbers some games. He's shot when he has to, but he has a high level of trust in his teammates. He really feels like guys can make shots, and he feels like the guys are going to make good decisions when he hits them. And so I think he's been real smart about the way he's handled it. I don't think he passes any more than he used to pass. I think he makes great decisions, takes the shots when he needs to, gets the offense rolling up and down the court when he needs to, and he's in control. He's always in control, and you can't say that about every point guard.
Just a question about the question about Tony. We are going to do a big story in the next days.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying to know if we can consider himself as the best foreign players in NBA ever, because there's Paul Gasol and Dirk Nowitzki, who are the 2 other best European players we had. What is your opinion about that?
Well, I'd have to say Dirk is the best. Dirk has put up ridiculous numbers. I mean, really kind of Hall of Fame numbers, and been very consistent over a long period of time. I don't know if Tony's numbers are Hall of Fame numbers, but Tony has been very impressive and for a long time. So, in my eyes, he might be the number 2 guy. I mean, Paul Gasol has been very good too, and won several championships. But for consistency from the beginning to the end of the career, Tony's right up there. I mean, he's I don't know that there's been any other European players. I mean, I remember back when Šarūnas Maršalėnas, Arvydas Sabonis, I mean, both really talented players and did a great job in the NBA. But Tony certainly has proven himself, certainly one of the top 2 or 3.
You said he was the most underrated point guard of the league?
Right now, yeah, absolutely.
What could be the ranking, if you have to make a ranking of the point guard? Is 1, 2, 3rd?
My ranking or what other people rank him?
Your ranking.
My ranking, I'd probably put him maybe 2nd in the league. I think obviously with a guy like Derrick Rose, who, that guy he's in another world. He's kind of his own person, playing great. But Tony, I mean, certainly, I can't think of. I mean, you look at the traditional guys like Steve Nash. Maybe a guy like Chris Paul, who is another super talented guy who does a very nice job. But if you look at Chris Paul's teams, and even the way Tony's playing with the teams, with the team that he has on the floor, Tony arguably is getting more out of his team than Chris Paul's getting out of his. So I give Tony a lot of credit, and I think he's probably the second best point guard in the league right now.
And the last question about that: what is your opinion for? What do you think about the season and the playoffs for San Antonio? Do you think they can win the championship? They are going to win the championship?
I certainly think they're one of the favorites. They've got to be one of the favorites. I mean, aside from this latest winning streak, they've done what they've done with Manu missing several games this year, with Tim missing a few games, with Pop just flat out. I mean, they almost beat Utah this last game with their bench guys, basically. I mean, they have proven themselves to be the deepest team in the league and one of the smartest and best executing team in the league. So I think it puts them right in a perfect position. The one thing that is difficult to always determine is how the superstars are going to play. So when you get in the playoffs, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, they could come up really big, and those guys could beat you. You also, you go over Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, they could come up and really big, and they could beat you. But if I had to roll the dice right now, I really like our chances. I think we're in a great spot.
And the last question, just about your new activities. I met you, as I told you 4 years ago. You were. It was very, very early in the morning at the Untitled Church. Are you still working over there, or you're more focused now about the Carver academies and all those things?
Well, yeah, of course I still do a lot with the church. I think everything I do is my faith is kind of based in everything I do. So with the church, I still preach and I teach. I teach men's Bible studies, and I do some baptism things during the summertime. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of things. I have 3 boys, so I spend a lot of time raising them. One's in college, and 2 are getting ready to go that direction. So they keep me busy. And then I have 2 foundations and a business, the Carver Academy here for 11 years now. And the Carver Academy, pre-K through 6th grade school, is going to turn into a charter school next year. And we're growing that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I always have a lot of things going on. And like I said, really my faith is kind of the thing that pushes everything, because, I want to have an impact. I want to be encouraging to the people around me, to this community. They've supported me for many, many years now. I've supported our Spurs for many, many years. And I want to do as much as I can to give back to all these kids here who, they deserve as much of a chance to be successful as I've had. And if I can help them get there, that's what I want to do.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
All right.
Is it just some still shot?
I need 3 minutes to fix up the mic.
And I'm
Can
gonna
we get
just
some hand shots?
Yeah. Sorry.
Can we get some